Get ready with me while I tell you about my terrifying car accident story. I'm going to start off from the very beginning. There was a lot of weird coincidences that happened this day, but I need to tell you what type of car it was, okay? And you'll understand why later in the story. So it was a 2008 Scion TC, so it was about over 10 years old, and it had many owners. Like, it had been all over the country, especially up north, and if you know anything about up north, cars rust up north because they salt the roads due to ice in the winter. So I was a junior in high school when this happened, and let me just tell you, so I remember I was sitting in my American Lit class, and we were talking about like survival of the fittest, which when I think back, it's just kind of weird. And then that same day, me and my ex got into an argument and we almost did not hang out. Another sign, another coincidence, yeah. So fast forward, my ex comes and picks me up from school and we go back to his house. It was also our 1 year. Yeah. We're deciding on a place to go to dinner, and I remember I was talking to his dad, and the insurance cards for that specific Scion TC car came in that day, and I remember flipping it over and reading the back of it, and it had said, if an emergency or whatever, call 911. Another weird coincidence. So it's time for us to leave, and we're deciding on which car we should take. We literally had to debate, and just something in me knew that we should have taken his dad's car, but we didn't. We ended up taking the Scion, and just so you know, in the back seat and trunk, we had a bunch of stuff, and like my backpack, my school backpack and everything was in there as well. So we get to the restaurant, and I just felt like something bad was gonna happen. Like, I had a weird feeling, but I didn't know what it was gonna be. So we get done eating and we start driving home, okay? And I have a Dr. Pepper in my hands because the cup holders in the car were full, so I had to hold it, okay? So to explain this setting, so first off, it was getting dark outside, and it was like we have to go down this like huge hill and around a turn and over this small narrow bridge, okay? And this is where it happened. And I want to say another thing. I did not drive at the time. I didn't even have my license, so my ex was driving. Yeah. We're going down this hill, and we're probably going about 45, 50, okay? And we're going around this corner, and I thought that he was just messing around and trying to like drift the car. So I was like, quit playing around, you know, quit playing around. Part 2 to the terrifying car accident story. And trigger warning, this is an intense story. And then when I realized he wasn't playing around, I started screaming like at the top of my lungs because I didn't know what was going to happen. You know, I literally thought we were going to end up going into the lake. So I remember looking over at him as we head on hit the bridge, okay? Head on hit the bridge, yeah. And so this Dr. Pepper cup that I had, I ended up crushing it because of impact, and it ended up spilling everywhere. So I literally thought that like we were going straight into the lake. So we hit the bridge head on, right? We do a full 360, and then my side of the car slams into the other side of the bridge, okay? So now my side of the door is blocked. I can't get out that way. Car stops, and I remember looking down and just see there was like Dr. Pepper all over the place. Like the dashboard and everything was cracked. Airbags did not deploy. And because of the adrenaline rush that I was feeling, I was trying to open my car door, even though the entire side of my car was blocked by the bridge, even the window. So the only way out was the driver's side door, or his side. Tell me why he was trying to start the car when it was very obvious that that thing was completely totaled. I'm freaking out. I'm like, get out of the car, because I literally thought the car was going to explode. That's what I thought, because when he was trying to start it, I was seeing smoke. He gets out of the car, and then so I climb over and I get out, okay? And we're on this, it's a pretty busy bridge. So the lady that was behind us witnessed the whole thing, so she stops, okay? And the best way to explain it was when we hit the bridge on my side, I slammed my head against the window and my leg against the door. Yeah, so it was hard for me to walk because like I could feel it, even though like the adrenaline was kicking in, so I was still up. I was still getting up. So anyway, she's like asking us if we're okay or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, and she's trying to get me to like sit down, but I just could not sit down. I was like freaking out. And so it's a busy road, so all these cars are like coming by, running over the pieces of like the car that's all over the road, okay? And so then I get on the phone with 911 because, you know, obviously they have to be there, and all these people were stopping and trying to help us, which was really nice. Like some guy offered to give us water, but I was just freaking out, okay? So I'm on the phone with 911, and my ex is on the phone with his dad. I'm on the phone with 911 and this freaking lady is not understanding what I'm saying because we were in between like two places, so I didn't know how to explain our location, and she just kept yelling at me, and it was hard for me to hear her because of like all the traffic on the road going by. Go to part 3. So anyway, this lady finally understands where I'm saying that we are, and she sends out some cops and everything. And so we're just sitting there waiting, and I'm freaking out. I'm literally freaking out because this was my first car accident, okay? And so then my ex's dad was like on the way as well. And so the cops get there, right? 2 cop cars pull up and no ambulance. Basically, they just ask us like the whole story of what happened and everything. And, you know, they ask for my ex's license and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, they're like typing that all into their little keyboard. I don't know. And then they're like, okay, you're free to go. So they let us get whatever we wanted to out of the car because the car wasn't movable. So a tow truck had to come, okay? So then my ex's dad gets there and I get in the car and my ex goes and grabs the stuff, okay? So my ex's dad is like mad, but I think it was more of because he was just worried. Like the car accident looked horrible. And so then my ex-boyfriend at the time, he convinces me to basically not tell my parents, okay? And like, don't do that. Tell your freaking parents. Tell your parents. Do not follow my footsteps, okay? But I didn't tell them. So then he takes me home and I'm just crying. I'm freaking out. I don't know what's going on. I literally have school the next day. So me and my ex were literally texting all night because none of us could sleep. And I was pretty sure I had like a slight concussion. And we did not go to the emergency room or anything that night, which you should always do because you never know. Like, there could be stuff that you don't even know about going on after something like that. So you need to always go and get checked out. But we didn't. So thank God we were okay. So I end up falling asleep for only an hour that night, okay? And I get up and I go to school. And by this time, my adrenaline has worn off. So I'm literally in pain. And like the bruise on my leg was so bad that like whenever I would walk, my muscles would push against it and it would cause like extreme pain, like almost as if somebody was like pushing really hard down on your bruise. Yeah. As the day is going on, I'm just feeling worse and worse. And I remember I get to my 6th period, which was my Spanish class. And school is the worst place to be if you have a concussion because all the loud noises and the bright lights. Yeah, my head was in excruciating pain. Well, I go and I call my manager at work and be like, I can't come in tonight. And I was trying so hard to make it sound like I wasn't at school. Because I had texted her the night before, like when it had happened. And I was just telling her like, I can't come in because woman, I can't even think straight. Like after school that day, I go to my ex's house and he was like, oh, don't tell my dad like how much pain you're in or whatever. And anyway, I ended up like not telling his dad about it. And then I just took some pain medication. And I remember I was bawling my eyes out because my head was hurting so bad. Well, also, like that same day that I was in school, he went to go see the car at the junkyard because he had to go like get some more stuff out of the car that we couldn't get everything out that night. So he had to go get some more stuff, right? And he said when he went back and looked at the car, it was a lot worse. Like you could see every single damage during like the daytime and it was just awful. And that day, when I had opened my backpack at school, I had the school computer. It was broken. It was broken. I had a small whiteboard in my backpack that was freaking snapped in half, like binders broken. Everything was broken because impact was so hard. Probably asking like what happened and like why we crashed. So basically, when I said cars up north rust, well, there was something in the car that snapped because it was rusted. And that we lost control of the car. Like we had no control over the car. And that is why we crashed. But yeah, I never told my parents. To this day, they do not know what happened. I basically lied to them and said that we got rid of the car because there was something wrong with it. Yeah, moral of the story, go to the emergency room if you get in an accident. Second moral of the story, tell your parents. Oh, freaking crazy. I hope y'all enjoyed this story and have a great day. I love you.